Okay, so get this, right? We're all about food today,
Right.
but not just, your everyday stuff.
Right. Okay.
We are going deep, like deep into the world of bizarre foods.
Bizarre foods are
The
all.
kind of stuff that makes you kind of scrunch your face up and go, whoa, do people really eat that?
Yeah.
Think fermented herring,
Okay.
live octopus,
Oh, wow.
maybe even some insect caviar. You ready for this?
I'm ready, yeah. It's interesting how food can be, so universal but so strange at the same time.
Yeah.
Like what's considered like a total delicacy in one country might be like the most repulsive thing you can imagine somewhere else.
Right, totally.
It just shows you how much culture and tradition really shape like what we think tastes good.
Oh, it's so true. Okay, so let's jump right in. First up, we got to talk about surströmming.
Okay, yeah.
This Swedish fermented herring.
Fermented.
It's infamous, really, for its smell.
Yeah, you can say that again?
I've heard it described as like a mix of rotten eggs and old gym socks.
Yeah, pretty close.
But get this. People in Sweden, they actually love this stuff.
They do.
What is the story there?
Well, fermentation itself is a pretty amazing process. I mean, it's one of the oldest ways we have of, preserving food.
Right.
People have been doing it for centuries all over the world.
Yeah.
And with surströmming, you're fermenting herring, but you're doing it for months.
Oh, wow.
And that's what creates that really powerful smell.
Okay.
But it's also what gives it that really tangy, unique flavor.
Okay.
So there's a reason behind it.
So it's not just like a shock value thing, right?
No, yeah.
There's actually a historical and cultural reason.
Absolutely.
Is there a specific way they traditionally eat it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's usually enjoyed outdoors.
Okay.
Like, you don't want to do this inside.
Right.
They'll often have it on, like, a thin flatbread with some potatoes, maybe some onions.
Okay.
And there's even a whole ritual for opening the can. Because, the fermentation builds up pressure inside, so you got to be careful.
Right.
It's a whole social event.
Okay. So maybe I can see the appeal a little, even if I'm not quite ready to, jump in and try it myself.
Oh, right.
Okay. Let's move on to another, shall we say, delicacy that comes with a little bit of risk.
Risk. Okay.
Fugu,
Fugu.
the Japanese pufferfish.
Yes.
Now, this is one that can actually be deadly
Deadly. That's right.
if it's not prepared, exactly right.
Yeah.
It's almost like playing culinary roulette, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how do they even do that?
Well, preparing fugu is like a serious art form.
Wow.
I mean, chefs have to go through years of training.
Really?
Yeah, to learn how to remove this toxin.
Okay.
It's called tetrodotoxin.
Tetrodotoxin.
Yeah, it's a neurotoxin
Well.
found in the fish's organs.
Okay.
And in Japan, I mean, they're serious about this. They have
Huh.
special licenses just to prepare and serve fugu.
Wow. So it's not even just about the taste.
Right.
It's about the trust you're putting in the chef,
Absolutely.
like a whole cultural experience.
It is.
Do you think the risk is part of what makes it appealing?
Yeah, I think the risk is definitely part of it. There's a thrill to it. It feels exclusive.
Right.
It's something you have for like special occasions.
Okay.
A real testament to the chef's skill.
Okay. All right. So from potentially deadly to just plain unsettling, let's talk about Kasumarzu.
Kasumarzu.
It's a Sardinian sheep milk cheese.
Okay.
And what makes this one stand out is the addition of, wait for it, live insect larvae.
Live insect larvae.
Maggots. Yeah, they
Yeah.
put maggots in the cheese.
Kasumarzu is, it's not for everyone.
Okay, I was going to say.
But the larvae, they're actually introduced to the cheese on purpose.
Okay.
And their digestive process, believe it or not, it breaks down the fats in the cheese.
Okay.
And that gives it a super soft, almost liquid texture.
All right.
It's unique. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to, keep an open mind here.
Right.
But I'm not sure I could get past the whole, visual of, wriggling maggots in my cheese.
Yeah.
But I understand it has a long history in Sardinian culture. What?
It does. It does. It's
Right.
been made for centuries, often for, special occasions, family gatherings. But important to note, it's actually considered unsafe to eat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because of potential health risks.
Yeah.
And it's actually illegal to sell it commercially.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You got to go underground for this one.
So it seems like we've got a bit of a theme here.
Yeah.
A lot of these bizarre foods involve fermentation.
Fermentation. That's right.
And we have another great example with halakha.
Hokkaro. Okay.
Now, this is fermented Greenland shark
Fermented Greenland shark. I
from
forgot.
Iceland.
Yes,
And I hear this one has a pretty powerful ammonia smell.
it does, yeah. Hockarl is definitely an acquired taste and smell. The way they traditionally prepare it is pretty wild.
Okay.
They actually bury the shark meat in the ground.
What?
Yeah, for weeks
Wow.
to let it ferment. And
Okay.
then they hang it up to dry
Okay.
for months.
So we're talking a long process.
Long process. It's a method that, developed out of necessity
Okay.
in Iceland's kind of harsh environment.
Like, yeah, I can imagine.
Not a lot of other options.
So it's a way to like really preserve a readily available source of protein.
Exactly.
It makes you appreciate the ingenuity of these different cultures, right? How
Absolutely.
they adapt to their environments.
Yeah.
Speaking of adapting, let's talk about balut.
Balut. Okay.
Now, this is a fertilized duck egg.
Interesting.
It's popular in the Philippines.
Okay.
Have you heard of this?
Except I have heard of it, yeah.
So they basically incubate the egg, right?
Yeah.
For about 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
So the embryo starts to develop,
Right.
and then they boil it and eat it.
Wow.
It's considered a high-protein snack,
Makes sense.
and some cultures even believe it has aphrodisiac properties.
Oh, interesting.
I've seen pictures,
Yeah.
and I have to say, the visual is pretty striking.
Yeah, I bet.
It's definitely a cultural experience.
Oh.
From eggs to fruit. So let's talk about durian,
Durian, all right.
often called the king of fruits,
King of fruits, yeah.
in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Now, this one is notorious, like really notorious, for its, how do we say this? Its pungent odor.
Yeah, the smell is something else. Durian is one of those things you either love or hate.
Okay.
There's no in between.
Right.
The smell is strong. People compare it to rotting garbage
Oh, wow.
or like really old gym socks.
All right. I'm getting the picture.
But for people who love it, the flavor is like super rich, creamy, almost custard-like.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a unique fruit.
I've heard it described as tasting like heaven, smelling like hell.
Yeah, that's about right.
Have you ever tried it?
I have, and I like it.
Oh, wow.
It's a very unique sensory experience.
I bet.
You got to get past the smell, but the flavor is it's really something special.
Okay. All right. Let's venture back to the world of insects.
Insects, okay.
We've got Eskimos,
Esco.
often called insect caviar.
Insect caviar, all right.
Now, these are ant larvae
Ant larvae.
harvested in Mexico,
Interesting.
and they're considered a delicacy.
Okay, so they have a pretty long history in Mexican cuisine.
Okay.
I mean, it goes all the way back to the Aztec Empire.
Oh, wow.
And they have a pretty delicate, like buttery flavor.
Okay.
People describe it as nutty and earthy.
Okay.
And, with all this interest in sustainable food these days, Eskimos are getting more popular outside of Mexico.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, they're not just a novelty anymore.
So they're not just a novelty food. They're a potential solution to, some of our food sustainability problems. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Speaking of visually interesting foods, we have century eggs.
Century eggs, okay.
These are preserved duck, chicken, or quail eggs.
Okay.
Known for their, how do we put this, their striking appearance.
Yeah, there's something else to look at.
So how do they make them look like that?
They preserve the eggs
Okay.
for weeks, sometimes months,
Wow.
in this mixture of clay, ash, salt, and other ingredients.
Okay.
And that's what transforms the yolk into this like dark green creamy substance.
Oh, wow.
And gives the egg that kind of jelly-like texture.
Okay. They're definitely not your average breakfast eggs.
No, they're not.
I'm curious about the flavor, though. Are they as intense as they look?
They do have a unique aroma,
Okay.
slightly sulfurous,
Okay.
and a complex savory flavor.
All right.
People use them in congee, salads, lots of different dishes,
Oh.
just to add a little extra, unique taste and texture.
All right. On to our last stop on this bizarre food tour.
Okay, last one.
Sinakchi.
Sinakshi.
The 5 octopus
5 octopus. Okay.
from South Korea.
All right.
This one is definitely not for the squeamish.
I can imagine.
Yeah. I mean, you're basically eating a live octopus,
Wow.
often while the tentacles are still, moving.
That's intense.
It's a dish that definitely sparks a lot of conversation,
Yeah, I bet.
especially about the ethics of consuming, live animals.
Right. It raises a lot of questions.
It's definitely thought-provoking.
Yeah, wait.
Makes you think about our relationship with food and, different cultural perspectives on what's acceptable to eat.
Yeah, for sure.
And last but not least, we have kiviak.
Kiviak. Okay.
It's a traditional Inuit dish
Okay.
from Greenland.
Greenland. All right.
Now, this one's pretty unique.
All right. What is it?
They take hundreds of these little birds called auks,
Okay.
stuff them into a seal skin,
Wow.
seal it up,
Okay.
and then bury it underground
Underground.
for months
2 months.
to ferment.
Wow. That's a method that was really born out of survival
Yeah.
in that harsh Arctic climate.
It's amazing how resourceful people can be when it comes to food preservation.
It really is.
It's a reminder that what we might think is bizarre, right,
Yeah.
is often deeply connected to, cultural heritage
Right.
and survival.
Absolutely. I mean, exploring these bizarre foods, it's a way to expand our understanding of different cultures
Yeah.
and challenge our own ideas about what's considered, delicious,
Right.
what we find appealing.
Well, we've definitely taken our taste buds on a wild ride today.
We have.
From fermented herring
Yeah.
to live octopus,
That's been a journey.
everything in between.
Yeah.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the vast and sometimes surprising world of food.
There's so much out there.
So if you had to choose, right, just one of these bizarre foods to try, which one would it be? And what do you think these foods tell us about the power of culture and tradition? Keep exploring, keep an open mind, and maybe, just maybe, you'll discover your next culinary adventure.
Bon appetit.
Thanks for joining us.